Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We got Stuart Alderoty breaking down exactly where Ripple is right now with the legal case and the recent dropping in the case dismissed against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. We got Brad Garlinghouse as well talking to Medico, the institutional custody company. And guess what else we got? Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, we are looking at $1.17 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 0.3%. Bitcoin right now, 29,800 plus. It wants to be 30,000. 1,600 slightly over for Ethereum right now. Tether market cap, 84.2 billion plus right now, ladies and gentlemen. Holy moly, that's a lot of money. XRP right now at 51 cents. It's up 0.2 on the 24-hour, and it's up 6.8 on the 7-day right now. And I believe most of that is what we're feeling off the case being dismissed. But remember, utility is not the price driver in this market, and until it is, it's really not a conversation. It's exciting to watch, but that's what I'm really waiting for, and what a day that'll be. Right quick, I want to tell you about this. It's Glint, ladies and gentlemen. Buy, save, send, and spend real gold instantly with Glint. They've done it. They've turned Glint into cash. You buy physically allocated gold, you put it on your phone, and then you can spend it through your MasterCard debit card, and there are hundreds of thousands of users doing this today, and what a time to be doing it. You can empower yourself and create your own alternative to banking if you just click the link below and get started. Yeah. And here's another link you're going to want to click real quick. It's the Freedom Zone. And what we're going to be talking about today is going to be something you're going to want, ladies and gentlemen. You talk about a massive player in the crypto space. It's Peter Thiel, who's just been revealed to be an FBI informant. Oh, we're going to get into all of that on the Freedom Zone. Just click the link for that for less than the cost of a cup of coffee, ladies and gentlemen. All of us can stay connected and to begin to have conversations about the many topics that I wouldn't dare touch on social media. And if they can bar and censor the biggest XRP influencer, the GOAT himself, digital asset investor, they could do it to me. They've done it on YouTube before, and I don't want it to happen ever again. I want to have the kind of connection with you guys that we can start having conversations that I've been wanting to have for years, and we're having them here. And just to let you know, you can see here, look at that title right there. You're going to want every bit of that. That is a good one, and there's so much more to learn in there. Make sure you join us inside. We'll see you there. Let's look at this from Cowboy Crypto, an amazing influencer in this space. Plaintiff Securities and Exchange Commission, it says, respectfully notifies the court that the stipulated dismissal of the SEC's pending claims against defendants Christian Larson and Bradley Garlinghouse have been dismissed, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, we're going to take you to this, which was a highlight reminder of John Deaton himself. And this thing is playing out exactly the way he has said all along. He said the SEC didn't dismiss because it's the right thing to do. The enforcement lawyers recommended dismissal because their bullying and intimidation tactics backfired. Simply put, they were going to be outclassed and embarrassed in the courtroom, just like the Hinman email hearing, where later the judge called them hypocrites and said they lacked a faithful allegiance to the law. Also, Hinman was going to be called as a witness by Brad Garlinghouse's lawyer, no doubt. Remember, Judge Torres ruled the Hinman emails were most relevant for impeachment purposes on cross-examination. SEC lawyers, especially the lead lawyer in this case, only like it when the trials are totally stacked against a defendant, with the chances of a defense victory slim to none. In the end, they did what most bullies do when you step up and fight back. They backed down. This was easy to see coming. Shout out to John Deaton for all he does for this community. And on the same day that the case was dismissed, I want to remind everybody that the DTCC acquires Securrency. The DTCC is serving more than 6,000 financial institutions and settling more than 2 quadrillion. That's right, 1,000 trillion make a quadrillion. It's a real number. more than $2 quadrillion worth of derivatives and other contracts every single year without fail. And we know that after that acquiring agreement was signed for Securrency, the Securrency makes it clear that it can be utilized on Ethereum, Stellar, Ripple, EOS, and distributed ledgers and other legacy systems, allowing for seamless on-chain and off-chain movement of tokens. This is a clear sign that they are going to begin using all of these protocols when they digitize and tokenize all the securities in that settlement section of the DTCC. It is very, very powerful. And so is this, ladies and gentlemen. This is 7.5 minutes of Stuart Alderoty laying it down. And wait till you hear him talk about preparing for MICA and the U.S. strategy. And think about what they've done when he talks about how they built their company. Remember what Brad Garlinghouse says? We are operating as if we already lost. That was by strengthening their position around the rest of the globe, putting the U.S. at a disadvantage if they actually go the wrong way with the case, because they are empowered by their relationships and their customers all around the world. Listen to this powerful 7.5 minutes. Pay very close attention when he starts talking about Ireland, where they have a license submitted.
SEC asked a judge to dismiss its lawsuit against Ripple execs Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen. The agency told the judge on Thursday that it's dropping its claims that Garlinghouse, the CEO, and Larsen, a co-founder, aided and abetted sales of the crypto token XRP. This started back in December 2020, when the SEC accused Ripple of raising more than $1 billion with the sale of XRP. Of course, those claims were put in question after a judge ruled in July that the sale of XRP on public crypto exchanges didn't constitute the sale of securities, but that the sale of XRP to hedge funds and other institutional buyers did violate the law. This dismissal comes as the SEC has faced multiple setbacks over its attempts to regulate the cryptocurrency industry through the federal courts. Well, for our main story, I spoke with Stu Alderoty, the chief legal officer at Ripple, about the dismissal and the current state of regulation in the U.S.
All right, Stu, thank you so much for joining us today. This dismissal is the latest win for Ripple and its executives following that partial victory that we were all so excited about back in July over the sale of XRP. What does this latest move from the SEC mean for the company, for XRP, and for your executives?
Yeah, so this is a capitulation by the SEC I think that they really didn't have any case here. It's our third victory in a row. In July, a federal court ruled that the digital asset XRP is not in and of itself a security. The SEC claimed it was. In October, the SEC tried to take an immediate appeal of that decision. The judge said, no, you can't take an immediate appeal. And let me remind you of all of the reasons why you were wrong in the first place. And then in the face of that, they capitulated. They surrendered. They really decided to dismiss what was left of the case. I think that is unprecedented that the SEC would do that, but I also think it's revealing that they have finally acknowledged that they really don't have a case here. And more importantly, for the industry, they've been trying to seize jurisdiction over the crypto economy through something called regulation by enforcement. And I think this is the first time that they've had a company and executives with the resources to fight back. And I think they were surprised by that. And when put through the litmus tests of the judicial process, it's really shown that they don't have a case. So there's a bigger issue here. There's a bigger policy issue here in terms of what is this country going to do in terms of getting rational regulation for the crypto economy. And then separately for an agency like the SEC that really is a bit out of control. It's really the administrative stake on awfully bad, keeping their eye on the ball, right? They come after a good company like Ripple, entrepreneurs like our executives who have built this company up over the past 11 years. And while they're doing that, they're keeping the eye off the ball of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, all of these companies that are going bankrupt. So consumers are really getting harmed through this wrong-minded approach from the SEC when it comes to crypto in the United States.
Does this latest development change how you think about regulation in the U.S.? It doesn't provide any more clarity, but it is yet another potential blow to the idea that the SEC has a clear mandate to regulate crypto. So I mean, does this make things murkier?
Yeah, I think for Ripple and the digital asset XRP that we use in our tech stack for the products that serve our customers, cross-border payments, this provides absolute clarity that Ripple's use and distribution of XRP does not constitute a security, and therefore the SEC has no jurisdiction over our company, and they have no jurisdiction over the digital asset XRP. So that's a great thing for Ripple, and it's a great thing for our products and our services. I think more broadly speaking, we still need a clear regulatory framework in the U.S. when it comes to crypto. Ripple's a global company. We operate in Singapore, in the UK, in the EU, in Dubai, in Brazil, and through a joint venture in Japan and Australia. All of those places we work in cooperation with and under the supervision of regulators, clear licensing authorities. We don't have that in the U.S. So even in the face of this victory, which is very, very important for Ripple, and I think puts us in a unique position, the jobs, the tax dollars, the entrepreneurship, it's all being moved offshore. And I think that's ultimately a tragedy for the U.S.
Back in July, your CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, threatened that Ripple would leave the U.S. if it lost the case against the SEC. You didn't lose the case, but where does Ripple stand now in terms of investment here in the U.S.? Are you still looking abroad for that regulatory clarity and opportunity?
So I'm sitting here in San Francisco, where we have one of our major offices, and the company was founded in San Francisco. That being said, why we've been fighting the SEC over the past 3 years, we have built the company mostly outside of the U.S. The company has never been in a stronger position, both in terms of number of customers, products, revenue, cash on the balance sheet. But all of that has been built outside of the U.S. in the jurisdictions that I mentioned earlier. That is because of the regulatory hostility that we have in the U.S. So again, as I talked about earlier, while we won, while we are in a unique position because of that win, there's still an undercurrent of hostility from our government when it comes to crypto entrepreneurship and the crypto economy. And I think until that is resolved, it's very difficult and challenging for any company to really build robustly in the U.S. So we haven't abandoned the U.S. We still have employees in the U.S. But over the past year, and certainly over the past quarter, well more than 50% of our hiring and investment has been outside of the U.S.
Well, I also want to ask about MiCA in Europe. We heard from Coinbase earlier this week that it's setting up shop in Ireland to prepare for the rollout of MiCA. What are your plans there?
Here we go.
So we also established an office in Ireland last year. We have applications pending with the Central Bank of Ireland, both for a virtual asset service provider license and an e-money license. We'll work with the regulator and hopefully satisfy them that we are equipped from a regulatory and a compliance standpoint to operate under their supervision. And hopefully once we get that license, we'll be able to use that not only to operate in Ireland, but to passport that through the EU. We're doing the same in the UK. A few weeks ago, we received our major payments institution license from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We're hopeful we'll get clearance in Dubai before the end of the year. We have an agreement with the Central Bank of Brazil to do business there. We operate under a regulatory supervision through a joint venture in Japan. So this is the direction of travel for the industry.
There you have it right there, ladies and gentlemen. That last bit of that was nice. I mean, the whole thing was great, and shout out to Stuart for it. Don't forget about the license in Ireland, which opens them up to the entire EU jurisdiction, more than 30 countries, ladies and gentlemen. They're applying for a license in the UK. They're also doing it in Dubai. We know they already have the full license awarded to them at the Monetary Authority of Singapore. They're working to get a license through the Central Bank of Brazil. How about that one? And then Japan as well. It makes me think of SBI. This is extremely exciting to me, ladies and gentlemen, but we got more to look at here. Very quickly here, let's look at this. What's going to happen after the case? What's the appeal result timeline? Take a quick listen to Fred Rispoli here, who was on Thinking Crypto. Take a quick listen.
And we're not going to get an appellate result until September of 2025. I would have said 26 if we were doing the trial. September of 25, that we're not doing the trial. So it's out there, but I mean, think about everything that could happen. And what I'm saying right now with the SEC is they're sitting fat on 770 million right now that they could completely lose and could evaporate into nothing if Ripple, wins on appeal. So there's more for the SEC to lose than Ripple to lose where we are in the case.
There you have it. And shout out to Fred for that little clip here. And just a quick reminder, the SEC Ripple Labs are set for a critical meeting and confer session November 9th. So we don't know if anything will yield from that, but we know we want to pay attention in case something happens. And it does acknowledge in this article that there was the charges dropped and that the November 9th can still be met. And that doesn't mean that they will come to a conclusion, but it does mean that they will meet. So hopefully we can get some information from that if we do. I don't know if it'll be public information or not, unless it's actually a settlement. Now, before we get out of here, we got to give you this. This is a little clip here from Brad Garlinghouse sitting down with Medico, which was recently acquired by Ripple. Take a listen to this clip.
How do you see the two combining together and creating synergies, creating value?
So, look, I think there is customer overlap in that Ripple has a broad sales force as well as existing customer base of financial institutions. Medico, as you know better than me, has tended to play at the tier 1 level. Ripple has tended to play below the tier 1 level, but I think there's clearly overlap there that has created some positive synergy. I also think as you look at where the product suite, the opportunity for financial institutions broadly is going, it doesn't stop with custody. It doesn't stop with payments. And so it's really, how do different banks, different financial institutions take advantage of a suite of products that would include custody, that could include payments, that could include other capabilities at the infrastructure kind of enterprise level. Now, better than anyone, and certainly the Medico team, which really just achieved an immense amount of success with a pretty small, lean team and competed very effectively against larger, better funded companies. But the macro environment around custody digital assets is expected to be close to $10 trillion by the year 2030. And inevitably, people are going to need a place to store those assets and safe, secure, and they're going to need to be able to transfer them as well, having good on and off ramps, even a tokenization engine, some of the work Ripple is doing around central bank digital currencies or CBDCs. So we think there's a lot of pieces that come together, and we already had, and I remember when you and I first spoke, I remember being on a call with one of the largest top 10 banks in the world, and a bank Ripple was already working with, and they were asking us about could we help them with their custody. This is prior to the Medico acquisition, and we weren't in a position to do that. And so when I think about that synergy, the ability to say to that existing Ripple customer, hey, here's a best-in-class, going head-to-head time and time again and winning on the custody level, to be able to bring that product to them, I think is a great opportunity for the two companies together. So, I'm really happy about it. I'm curious, if I could turn the tables for a moment. What has been your experience about the synergies as you've been, you've only been here a few months as inside Ripple, but I'm curious what you have seen so far.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to be very honest here. I think we've been very good at one thing at Medico, which was focus. We've specialized in doing infrastructure, in building security-related software, and we've done it very well. And we've also specialized in our go-to-market into the larger segment of the banking sector. But it was also our weakness, in a sense, because we became so specialized that it became hard for us to emerge beyond infrastructure, if you wish. So we were probably the best at infrastructure, but then getting into the use cases, starting to think, I'm gonna be processing payments, I'm gonna be tokenizing real assets, I'm gonna create value that the banks can truly leverage. in and of themselves. What was becoming harder and harder because our team and our go-to-market was specialized on infrastructure. And I think what we're seeing in the collaboration with Ripple is that we are starting to be able to combine this deep expertise in infrastructure and security that Medaco has acquired, also the network and the success we have on the market, with now value-added services, which potentially can leverage also the different licenses that you have as a regulated financial institution, and start selling more vertical offerings that go beyond the pure infrastructure level. So I think that's probably what excites me the most, is that Medaco in itself still exists as it used to be. It's still largely independent, still has its same exact offering with its same ambitions, but it's now able to provide more value to the clients.
Look, I think the biggest thing that jumped out at me, and maybe it did you too, is Brad Garlinghouse talking about projecting $10 trillion looking for custody, a home by 2030 in this space. Well, when I think of that and the 10 trillion he's projecting and kind of thinking about in the future there, what do I come back to? I'll tell you what I come back to. I come back to the DTCC. They settle globally, right? They're settling things from all around the world. Could that play a role in the helping to settle DTC as they move into the digital realm and tokenizing derivatives? I don't know, but I tell you, it gets pretty wild watching all of this unfold. I absolutely love it. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.